I remember the silence first, not the absence of sound, but a profound, almost ancient quiet that settled over the high desert of New Mexico. A quiet so deep, it felt like it had been waiting there for centuries. I was 16, visiting my grandmother, and my little terrier mix Buster was, as always, glued to my side. He wasn't just a pet, he was my shadow, my confidant, a small, furry anchor in a world that often felt too big and too loud. We'd arrived just as the sun was beginning its slow, magnificent descent, painting the sky in shades of fiery orange and soft violet. Grandma Elena's house was nestled among sparse junipers and pinyon pines, miles from the nearest town. It was the kind of place where the stars truly sparkled and the wind whispered secrets through the canyons. My mom, a city girl through and through, loved these visits, but she always said the quiet made her a little jumpy. Me, I found it strangely comforting, especially with Buster curled up at my feet. That evening, after a dinner of green chili stew that warmed you from the inside out, Grandma Elena started to tell stories. Her voice, raspy with age and wisdom, wove through the twilight, filling the living room with tales of the land, of people, and of things that defied easy explanation. My mom, always practical, would sometimes roll her eyes playfully, but even she leaned in a little closer when Grandma Elena spoke of the old ways, the traditions that ran deeper than the arroyos cut into the earth. This particular night, the stories took a turn. Grandma Elena began to speak of the Ye-Nod-Loshi, or what many outsiders called skinwalkers. She didn't speak of them with fear, but with a deep respect for the balance they represented, a dark mirror to the sacred. She described them as people, or things that once were people, who had twisted sacred knowledge from malevolent purposes. They could take the form of animals, she said, moving swiftly through the night, their eyes glowing, their intentions dark. But the most chilling part, the detail that truly made the hairs on my arms stand up, was when she spoke of their ability to mimic voices. They would call out to you from the darkness, using the voice of a loved one, drawing you out into the vast, unforgiving night. I remember Buster, usually restless and curious, had settled even deeper into my lap, his soft whimpers barely audible as Grandma Elena spoke. I dismissed it as him just being sleepy, or perhaps picking up on the subtle tension in the room. I tried to sound nonchalant, asking if these were just old legends meant to keep children from wandering off. Grandma Elena just smiled, a gentle, knowing smile that crinkled the corners of her eyes. Later, tucked into bed in the small, cool guest room, the air crisp even indoors, I found it harder to dismiss the tales. The quiet outside wasn't comforting anymore. It felt watchful. Buster was curled on his usual rug beside my bed, his gentle snores a familiar comfort. I drifted in and out of sleep, the desert night pressing in on the windows. Then it happened. A voice, soft and clear, cut through the stillness. "Come outside, honey." It was my mother's voice, unmistakably hers. Warm, gentle, exactly how she'd call me for breakfast or when she wanted to show me something in the garden. My eyes fluttered open. I felt a prickle of confusion. Why would Mom be calling me outside in the middle of the night? I was about to answer, to ask what she wanted, when I noticed something. The voice wasn't coming from the hallway. It was coming from right beside my bed. My eyes snapped open completely, adjusting to the faint moonlight filtering through the blinds. And then I saw it. Buster, my sweet, loyal Buster, was sitting up, looking at me. His head was tilted slightly, and his eyes, usually so full of playful mischief, seemed to hold a strange, flat intensity in the dim light. His mouth was closed, yet that voice, my mother's voice, spoke again. "Come outside, honey. It's beautiful out here." A jolt, cold and sharp, went through me. My heart hammered against my ribs. Buster's mouth was still closed. He wasn't barking, he wasn't whimpering, he wasn't even panting. But the voice, so undeniably her voice, was emanating from him. I froze, caught between the instinct to leap out of bed and the paralyzing fear that held me still. Grandma Elena's words echoed in my mind. They would call out to you from the darkness using the voice of a loved one. My mother was sound asleep in the room down the hall. I knew she was. I'd heard her gentle breathing as I passed her door just an hour earlier when I'd gotten a glass of water. She never, ever called me honey in that particular tone unless she was trying to wake me up gently. And she certainly wouldn't be calling me outside in the middle of the night, not in the desert, where she was always so nervous about strange sounds. Buster's eyes seemed to bore into mine, unblinking. The air in the room grew heavy, almost thick. I could feel my own breath catch in my throat. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I just stared at my dog, who was, somehow, speaking with my mother's voice. Minutes stretched into an eternity. The voice didn't repeat itself. Buster just sat there, still as a statue, his eyes fixed on me. Slowly, painfully, the strange light faded from his gaze, replaced by the familiar softness of my beloved pet. He blinked once, then lay down, curling into a tight ball on his rug, letting out a soft, very ordinary sigh once more. His breathing became regular, gentle snores soon filling the quiet room once more. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I lay there, clutching the blanket, listening to the desert wind and the very normal sound of Buster's breathing. When dawn finally broke, painting the sky with the promise of a new day, I slipped out of bed, heart still racing. I crept down the hallway to my mother's room. She was deep in sleep, her face peaceful in the morning light. She stirred slightly as I stood there, watching her chest rise and fall rhythmically. She was, unmistakably, asleep. I never told her or anyone else about what happened that night. How could I? It sounded like the stuff of nightmares, of children's stories. But it wasn't a dream. It was vivid, undeniable, and it had unfolded right there in front of me, in the stillness of that high desert night. The experience changed something within me. It wasn't about fear anymore, not in the panicked sense. It was about a profound shift in my understanding of the world. My sweet Buster was still Buster, the loving, goofy dog I adored. I looked at him differently, yes, but not with fear. More with a quiet reverence for the mysteries that sometimes brush against our lives, mysteries that we can't explain with logic or reason. That night, I learned that some stories aren't just stories. They are echoes of something real, something ancient, something that reminds us that the world is far more intricate and, perhaps, far more watchful than we often imagine. It was a reminder that even in the most familiar comforts, like the soft presence of a beloved pet, there can be doorways to the unexplained. It was a moment that etched itself onto my soul, a quiet testament to the thin veil between what we know and what lies beyond. And it taught me, truly, to listen, not just with my ears, but with an open heart, to the whispers of the world around us. Have you ever experienced something that defied explanation? A moment that shifted your perspective on reality? I invite you to share your thought in the comments below. Perhaps we can explore these quiet mysteries together. Thank you for listening.